So today I am going to read for you a story which I wrote called Alf and the Sun. So it's for little people, and it was kind of written to explain some sciencey stuff because I'm married to a scientist, but it's just a lovely little story actually about sort of nature and being kind. So I'm going to read this for you now, and hopefully you can sit back and let your children listen to this and just have 5 minutes where they're not asking you a million zillion questions. Maybe, who knows? Anyway, we'll try and make it fun. We'll try and make it dynamic. They might get up and do stuff, who knows, but we'll give it a go. So it's called Alf and the Sun by Anna Friend, which is me. Okay. Alf didn't mind where he lived. He was small and squidgy and could fit into most places. Alf was magnolia. He heard it once and thought it sounded good, and it was better than beige. So Alf was small and squidgy and, well, beige, really, and came from a place called Magiton. He arrived before this story began and lived, well, shall we see? One day, when Alf really wasn't doing anything at all, he found himself in the middle of the hottest of the hot days. Everywhere people were saying, "My word, how hot I am! I must be melting." How odd, he thought. I've never heard of people melting in the sun. Only ice creams, ice cubes and ice lollies. It was very hot though, and Alf found himself growing more squidgy as the day wore on. Without delay, he found a very large tree and settled under its branches for a nap in the shade. As he wriggled and jiggled to find a comfortable spot, he felt a small snag on his back. The snag became a tug, and suddenly, without warning, Alf was pulled inside the tree. "Ow!" cried Alf. "That really hurt." "I'm terribly sorry," said a small voice in the dark. "I seem to have made a mistake. I thought you were... Oh. Never mind." "Well, I'm not," said Alf in a bit of a huff, actually. I see that you are, in fact, small and squidgy and, beige." Alf coughed with indignation. I'm Magnolia, actually." "Where are you?" "Who are you?" As he spoke, a light appeared just next to his big toe. Alf looked again and again and realised that the light was the tiniest of tiny lamps burning brightly, and holding the light was a mouse. Alf knelt down to meet his captor face to face. "Who are you?" asked Alf, surprised by his captor's size. "I'm JP. Well, the professor really, but my friends call me JP. "I'm Alf, and before you pulled me in here, I was settling in for a nap in the shade." "Ah, yes, it's the hottest of hot days today. I forgot," replied the tiny professor. "It's so hot that people are melting." "Why don't they turn it down?" asked Alf. "Turn it down?" JP explained. "The sun? Or, better still, turn it off!" Alf cried with a flourish. "Turn it off!" JP shrieked. "Turn it off!" JP paced the floor, hopping from one foot to the other. Yes, continued Alf, pleased that the professor liked his idea. Then no one would be melting." "Turn it off? But without the sun, nothing would grow. We wouldn't have flowers or trees." JP stopped and looked at Alf. "There'd be no birds, no bees, no you, no me." Earth needs the sun like I need cheese? Asked Alf, suddenly understanding. Yes, like we need food. The sun is food for all living things. We mustn't turn it off, Alf. As JP spoke, a light went on inside Alf. The sun makes things grow. Having always been a little small, Alf wondered whether the sun could help him. With a jiggle and a wriggle, Alf prepared to squeeze out of the tree. He turned and cried out, "Thanks, Professor!" JP was already lost in thought, trying to complete his latest experiment. Oof! Alf sprang through the crack in the tree and rolled out into the sunshine. "Oh, I want to grow," he thought, and spread himself out. As the sun shone down in this hottest of hot days, Alf started to feel something going on. He lifted his head, his foot, his hand, and realised, oh no, he wasn't growing, he was melting. In fact, he was so hot he had to peel himself from the ground and crawl into the shade. As he sat in the cool, Alf suddenly felt sad, because he hadn't got any bigger, and very quietly he began to cry. "Why are you crying?" said a small voice. Alf looked up, and standing in front of him was a little girl with golden hair. She was looking at him with big blue eyes, and as Alf sat up, she said again, "Why are you crying?" "Because I'll never grow," replied Alf. "What? Never ever?" said the little girl. "Why not?" "Because the sun makes you grow, but when I sit in the sun, I melt." Alf sniffed and held up his hand, which was very squidgy indeed. The little girl wrinkled her nose, but then said kindly, "Why do you want to be bigger? You are the perfect size." She grabbed his other hand and pulled him to his feet. "See, you are the same size as me." Perfect. Alf looked round and realised, oh, she was right. Alf jumped for joy, then quickly his smile faded. "But you will grow. People always grow up, but small squidgy things never do. I'll always be this small." Alf sat down again, feeling glum. The little girl with the golden hair thought for a while, and then off she went in search of something to help poor Alf. It wasn't long before she came back. The sun was still shining brightly on the hottest of hot days, and Alf still sat in the shade, feeling glum. "Alf," she said, "I know how you can grow." Alf looked up as the little girl ran over to where he was sitting. "How?" he said. "Tell me how I can grow." "All you have to do is find a friend and give them a hug." "Oh." Alf's smile faded. "But I don't have any friends here. They all live in Magiton." "But Alf," said the little girl, "I'm your friend." "Really?" said Alf. You'll really be my friend?" "Of course," said the little girl. "I'll always be your friend." And as she spoke, she stepped forward and gave Alf a great big hug. Let's all give each other a big hug now. She gave him a big hug, even though he was still a little bit squidgy. As she did, Alf began to feel something happening, like a warm feeling that started in his tummy and wrapped around his heart. And all at once he felt himself get bigger and bigger and big enough until he felt big enough to conquer the world. He stepped back and looked around, but He gasped. I'm the same, he said. I'm exactly the same. No, you're not, said the little girl. You're bigger. Well, I feel bigger, Alf said, but I'm the same size as before. Oh, Alf, she said softly. Growing up isn't just about growing on the outside. All the real growing happens on the inside. Alf looked at her and said, What do you mean? Why do I feel bigger? 'Cause each time you hug someone, your heart grows a little bit bigger. Why? Said Alf. Because it fills with love, said the little girl, her blue eyes sparkling. Wow, said Alf. With love I can feel as high as the highest building. And as he stepped forward, he gave the little girl a great big hug. And if you hug the person that's right next to you now, you can feel it too. Go on. Give it a try. See? You feel bigger already. Bye.